You're fighting Gilbert Melendez on April 20th. I want to know what strengths do you see that maybe cause a concern and what holes you think you can expose?
Yeah, Gil and I are going to throw down April 20th in, where's it at?
San Jose.
San Jose, I heard. So it should be a fun one. It should be good. A lot of times what it's about is like stylistically, how styles match up. Sometimes when you're throwing down and the guy's more elusive, it's hard to get a hold of him, doesn't come forward as much, so it's hard to have it be an action-packed fight. Nate and I, you know, his style of fighting, my style of fighting, it was a more fun fight to watch. More fun for me, more fun for you guys. He walked forward, I walked forward. We saw who the better man was that night. Gil and I is going to be the exact same way. Gil's he's pretty good. He's pretty skilled. I don't know if you guys know that or not. But he's been fighting for a long time. He's been like what, top 2, top 3 in the media guys, the fans and whatnot, like top 2, top 3 in the world. So it'll be fun facing off against him. As for any holes, I haven't really, like I watched him as a fan, like just watching MMA, like you guys, you know, I've seen his fights, but I haven't really started breaking down in his fights. I only watched the fights one time to break it down. Then my coach, John Crouch, he's the one who does that, like watches every day obsessively and sees any holes. We haven't even begun that stage yet. I know, you know, Gil has heavy hands, a good wrestler, does takedown defense very well, takes guys down and stays on top. Doesn't do a whole lot of jiu-jitsu, more just ground and pound when he's on top. But I don't know, it should be a fun fight. If you have any holes, if you know of any weaknesses, go ahead and shout me out and let me know what they are later on.
All right, I'll tweet you.
I think the Nate Diaz fight really was more about just kind of stylistic matchups. With Frankie, I think a lot of times when Frankie fights, it's tends to be more decisions. Close stylistically, he's hard to do that, you know.
Yeah,
but,
I completely agree.
Yeah. But Nate and I didn't really change anything up. I fought Nate, you know, pretty much the same way I fought Frankie. Obviously, game plan a little bit different, but I, you know, fought the same way. It was just stylistically, Nate and I were much more fun to watch than, you know, otherwise.
Besides the toothpick, do you have any other rituals or routines or something that you like to do to get into the zone before a fight?
No, I actually try to specifically stay away from having any rituals or any superstitions like, oh, I have to have these socks on going into a fight. Oh, I have to eat this sort of a meal going into a fight. Because anytime like someone has like that and then it doesn't work out, like, oh, I'm screwed, I'm going to lose because I didn't have my, you know, whatever it is, yogurt, strawberry Dannon yogurt before the morning. Like, I like to stay away from that, so I specifically try and always mix things up just so I don't have an excuse. Oh, I lost because this reason. I lost because, you know, my toenails weren't painted the right color pink, you know, something like that. Like, guys have crazy stuff. College wrestlers have some crazy stuff, but I always try to stay away from that. I would probably say still the biggest thing I work on as far as like technique-wise is, of course, my boxing. I think I'm a pretty good wrestler, jiu-jitsu guy, grappler, and stuff like that. Working my Muay Thai, my kicks, you know, coming along pretty good. My boxing, still work on boxing every day. I'm in there every day working my boxing, but probably my biggest weakness as far as like skill set wise is my boxing. Pretty good though, not too bad. You know, improved from back in the day, but that would be my biggest like skill set problem.
What's up, Ben? Do
doing,
you
brother?
think that Gil Melendez deserves a title shot, or do you think that maybe Anthony Pettis deserves a title shot above him over his last victory that he just had?
I think that whoever deserves the title shot is who Dana White says. We all know how that, you know, UFC works. It's no. You guys know how it is, right? There's no sort of semblance of like, it's whoever Dana says, that's the guy who it is. As far as me personally, I don't really care. It can be Gil, Anthony, Gray, Joe, Eddie. Line them up. Let's go.
One last question. What are your thoughts on Eddie Alvarez? I know he's having the problems getting into the UFC. If he gets into the UFC, on him.
I hope Eddie makes it to the UFC. It'd be great to have him over. He's a tough fighter. Actually, I'm a pretty big fan of Eddie. I love his fighting style. He gets clipped a little bit too much in all his fights. He gets clipped at least once. He gets dropped at least once. So you might want to fix that. As far as like he exchanges wildly, and he's fine doing it. I mean, who am I to say? He's a great fighter. He's a, you know, ex-world champ and all that. So he's awesome. I'm a pretty big fan of his. But that being said, you know, it'd be great to have him over in the UFC. He would definitely up the level of competition. As a fighter, just, most things in life, whatever, you want to face the best. You want the best guys in your practice room, because the better guys in the practice room raises the intensity of their practice, raises the skill level in your practice room. The same thing for fights. The better fighters we have, the more accomplished fighters we have in the UFC, the better it is. That being said, the UFC has the deepest and the best lightweight class on the planet, period. We have the top 15 guys in the world all fight for the UFC.
How do you use your faith to train for the fight, the next fight? Can you explain that?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much, first of all. I appreciate that for sure. As far as using the Lord, how do I, for my training, how I use it in my training, I use it just in life in general. Like, you need the Lord in everything you do. It's not just training. I need him just for, just to help this or just to help this. I need him for everything. Me personally, some of you guys might be different. You might be perfect. Me, I'm not perfect. I need him in everything I do.
That's right.
As far as getting up, waking up in the mornings, going to go train. I mean, we're going to go get, literally, like, you guys go to work, you have a hard day at work. I go to work, I get punched in the face. I get kicked. I get choked out. It's hard to wake up and go do that, So I definitely rely on him for my strength, rely on him for my, just encouragement. Keep on fighting that good faith and that sort of stuff. So I rely on him for everything, though. It's pervasive throughout my life. It's not just in fighting.
Right.
And that being said, I don't like to bring it up. I don't like to talk about it too much, because there's a lot of those Christians who are like super in your face and, oh, you gotta believe what I gotta believe, and oh, you better do this. I don't want to be in your face about it. I don't want to constantly bring it up and tell you have to believe what I believe. I actually couldn't care less if you don't believe what I believe. It doesn't matter to me. Like, it's cool,
Right.
But that being said, I like to portray Christ more through what I do, through my actions, not just through talking about it. So I don't like to talk about it too much. When people bring it up, I love talking about it, but I don't like to bring it up too much. I don't like to talk about it too much, but just in my daily actions, how I live my life, my walk more.
Yeah, I was just curious what your walkout song is and why do you choose it?
My walkout song is Awesome God by R. Swift. I choose it just because it hypes me up. It gets me ready in the right, I guess, mental frame of mind. It gets me, kind of just excited, loose, nice and relaxed, excited to go out there and, inside that octagon and go perform, go do my thing,
And how exactly do you keep the toothpick in your mouth, even for fights and stuff like that for so long?
It's just a bad habit, I kind of did it when I was younger in high school, in college. I would have it in. I start, roughhousing with my boys, start wrestling around. It would still be in. I'd get ready to go to practice, and I forget I have it in. I just go through wrestling practice, and I have it in. I, segued into my MMA career, so I, have it in when I do my training and stuff. I probably shouldn't. One of these days I'll probably pay for it, but I've survived so far.
I remember reading somewhere that you went from training at the gym to now owning it. What has that process been like, and how do you think it differs from starting out there to where you are now?
Okay, cool. Yeah, when I first moved to my gym, my coach's friend had a gym in Arizona, and he knew my coach, John Crouch, had a couple of fighters, some really tough, talented younger fighters who were working their way up, one day going to be in the UFC, all that sort of stuff. So, he had a gym, but no fighters, no trainers, no coaches, no anything. Mm-hmm. So he asked my coach, John, if he would be willing to fly out, check the place out. If he liked it, move his whole family down, move some of his fighters down, and relocate to the Phoenix, train out of the gym. So they flew me down. I got to check the place. It's a pretty nice, I'm a little biased, but a pretty nice, state-of-the-art facility, super clean. They flew me out, paid for my hotel, and told me, oh yeah, all you gotta do is, mop the mats, clean the toilets, clean up that sort of stuff. I had to do it twice a day. And then, you can train as much as you want, train for free and all that stuff. So I was like, wait, you're gonna fly me out here, pay for me to fly out here, give me, a couple bucks to make sure I'm taken care of, sponsor me. So I can train full time. I have access to all the coaches around the clock, access to this, state-of-the-art facility. I was like, where do I sign up at? Heck yeah. But yeah, so I started out for the first 2 years, mopping the mats, cleaning the toilets. I'd have practice in the morning, 9 to 12 or so. I'd have to clean the toilets, mop the mats, do all that stuff in the afternoon on my lunch break. I'd train again at night, and then I have to clean again at night. And I did that for 2 years. Freaking cleaning toilets and mopping mats and getting better at my MMA game. And I was able to buy the gym about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. A year ago, almost exactly a year ago. I was able to buy the gym from the old owner. So it was nice to go from mopping mats to being the owner. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Favorite comic book hero? It's like having your favorite book. It always changes, always differs and stuff. But one of my like all-time favorites, one of the guys I always loved the most was Nathaniel Dayspring as Kenny's son, Cable. I always loved Cable. Great storyline, great character. They've done an excellent job with him. So I'd say Cable, X-Force. I like X-Force a lot, but he's definitely one of my all-time favorites. And then the other one was, what would I be doing if not fighting?
Well, when you were a kid, like, did you intend to be a professional fighter? What did you want to be?
When I was a kid, I never thought about fighting. I was never a Terry Tough Nuts, Billy Badass type of guy. I was like, yeah, we're humans. I like to use my words to solve my problems. I want to be a fighter, nothing like that. It's not fight. So I never had any intentions of being a fighter. I've never even once crossed my mind. What I wanted to do was be a police officer. In my neighborhood growing up, police officers weren't like super cool. It wasn't like nice to like the cops and stuff like that. But everyone who talk crap about cops, oh man, forget about cops, boo boo boo, and all want to talk crap about cops and all that. But as soon as something bad happened, like they got jacked or whatever, what was the first person to call? 911. So I thought it was funny. All my friends, all the people doing not very good things, in my old neighborhood, not the greatest place, all talk crap, all say this, oh man, forget cops, forget this, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Something bad happens, someone breaks into the house, the first person they call, cops. So I thought it was always funny. I always had a lot of respect for police officers. So that was my dream job growing up. I wanted to be a police officer. And then I wasn't until after my first fight, I fought, I won, I kind of fell in love. I was like, oh, this is a cool feeling. This is pretty awesome. Then I decided to try and be an MMA fighter, like as a career. Yeah, as far as how jiu-jitsu goes and my jiu-jitsu defense, I guess I am a little bit more flexible. I have a little bit of more natural give in my joints and arms or legs or whatever, So that definitely plays a part into it. But I think the bigger part that plays into it is actually knowing the moves, knowing jiu-jitsu in and of itself. You know each position, know the dangers. If I'm getting choked in a triangle, arm triangle, head triangle, like whatever it is, his leg or arm, something's cutting off this side of my neck. My arm is cutting off this side of my neck. All you need to do is make a small adjustment. Tilt your head one direction this way, like 10 degrees this direction. Your arteries, again, clear. You're good to go. You can breathe. But it's about staying calm, relaxed. Like a lot of times when guys roll, like they roll so hard, they start breathing through their mouth. Like when you roll, when you do any jiu-jitsu or whatever, try just breathing through your nose. Like stay relaxed enough where you're just breathing through your nose. As soon as you start breathing through your mouth, you're too worked up, you're too excited. Guys hold their breath and they go crazy. Like stay relaxed, know the position. Oh, okay, I'm here. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. And when you roll with better guys, you like say you're a white belt, you roll with a brown belt or purple belt. They're gonna know more than you. Yeah, sure, of course, they're gonna know more than you. But every time you roll, instead of just going crazy, I get caught in an arm lock. Oh man, that was tough. That was fun. That was a crazy roll. How'd you get caught? I don't know. My arm got stuck. It was crazy. He got my arm. And then go again. Let's go again. Like if you stay relaxed, you stay calm, and you like, oh, I did this, and then I did this, and then he did this, and then he did this some weird thing, he did this, and then he caught my arm. If you can break it down into those 5-step process, and then he ended up catching this. You explain it to your coach, your instructor. Fredson Paxal's a great coach, a great instructor. He can tell you, he can give you the instructions on how to stop that. Okay, well, he did this. All you need to do is turn your head this way or turn out this way, and you would have been just fine. So it's about staying calm, staying relaxed, and knowing the finer details, of jiu-jitsu, each position, each hold. My dream car was not a white. My dream car was a 96 Bronco, just not a white 96 Bronco. Yeah. So when I was able to, I got the first.
Listen, I think when he told me that, I lowered what I was going to pay him.
I got my first huge paycheck for me at the time, huge, awesome money, my first paycheck from the WC. I was like, oh, I'm going to get my dream car. And I'm rolling it still now to this day. I got a 96 Bronco.
Yeah. What color is it?
It's not white, it's red. The thing I think with, there was a lot of injuries last year, right? Like a lot of injuries for the UFC last year and stuff. The key is to train at the correct intensity. So when I'm not in training camp, I do practices 3 times a week or 3 times a day, sometimes 4 times a day. But the intensity is not like 80-90%. The intensity is like 50, 60%. I'm still practicing, still training, I'm still working my butt off, but it's at 50, 60%, and I'm working my brain. I'm learning the technique behind stuff. My boxing coach, oh, you want to make sure you step to this direction to make sure you're outside his lead leg. I'm not just going there super hard, working up a sweat. I want to actually learn something. That's the thing of jiu-jitsu, boxing, MMA in general. You want to learn the technique behind it. You want to know about it, not just go in there and throw crazy, throw hard. So to keep the intensity down, and then during training camp, then you can turn it up. During training camp, then I turn the intensity up to 80, 70, 80%, and go harder, go longer, that sort of stuff.
And then talk a second about the importance of your training partners. And that, I believe, is also a reason why you don't get injured a lot, right?
Also, again, yes, absolutely. You got to have good training partners. You got to have guys you can trust. Some of these guys, they're just not as close. It's just like again, it is what it is. Like, who am I to say whether it's the right way or the wrong way? There is no right way. It's just how different ways people do things. For me personally, my gym, I want all my guys to be like my brothers. I want guys I can completely trust. If they had a bad day at work, you have a bad day, and then you go into the gym and you're mad. You're, oh, that stupid boss. He said this or he did this, and he didn't acknowledge whatever, yada yada yada. And then you give me an arm lock and you yank just a little bit harder than you normally would, just because you're on a bad day. Now I'm out of training camp. I'm out of practice for 6 weeks because you had a bad day at work. That's what you don't want. You want to go to gyms, jiu-jitsu gyms, boxing gyms, Muay Thai gyms. You want to go somewhere where you can know the people, you can trust them, you have a good relationship with them. Not a bunch of tough guys walk around with their shirts off and all they want to do is squeeze on an arm as hard as they can just to prove that, oh, well, I caught him. Well, yeah, you caught me, but now I'm out. I can't practice for freaking 6 weeks. I miss out on a paycheck. So that's very important to make sure you have good training partners, just good guys at your gym in general.
Are you happy with the drug testing?
I could go for a little more stricter drug testing. I wouldn't mind seeing that. My thing with the whole steroid things and whatnot, like I understand part of a competitor's nature to always take whatever edge, take whatever advantage you can get on being the best. To that, I just say, if I'm facing a person, it happens in college wrestling, sadly it shouldn't, but it happens in college wrestling, steroids and whatnot. But if I know someone is mentally weak enough to take steroids, and I need an extra edge, I need to do this, and they know it's illegal, they know it's wrong, and they do it. If you're so mentally weak, you got to take steroids, like me, 5 rounds in a cage with you, I will destroy you because you are mentally weak. So I'm all for it. You want to take drugs, go ahead and take drugs. I don't really care. But I'm gonna whoop your butt because you are mentally weak, and that's where you win fights in the mental stage. If you're mentally weak enough to break down, I'm gonna kill you.